LT, I mean, of course, obvious one.
There's no question.
He's maybe the best Giant that ever played.
One of the greatest linebackers ever.
He's the greatest player in the history of the game.
Lawrence Taylor should be on another mountain above the Giants mountain.
Y'all gotta do better than this.
He not only changed that team, but he changed the game and the position.
Homeboy, we can't play that stuff over here. Y'all gonna have to go to the other side.
When Lawrence Taylor was on the field, everybody had to watch out. Where's LT? 56 was coming at you, and he was fast off the ball, and he hit you hard. He was a team leader. He was the one that got everybody amped up.
Come on now. You know, hey, we're a bunch of bad summer. Let's play some ball.
I love the sound bites.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
LT was a no-brainer when it came to picking the best of the Big Apple, chiseling down the rest of the G-Men's Monument Men. Not exactly low-hanging fruit.
This is where it gets a little hard.
You got to put Phil.
Robustelli.
Tiki. Tiki? Tom Coughlin.
Mark Bavaro.
In the end, there's only room for one quarterback among the all-time faces of the franchise.
It's hard when it's like, hey kids, come on, let's go see the Giants Mount Rushmore. There's Eli Manning. And look at how confused he looks. Look at how bamboozled.
I am not putting Eli on that list.
There are many, many other Giants that are better.
How many of them beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl?
I am still flabbergasted with what Eli Manning was able to do.
Eli Manning has to go down in history as defeating one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, twice.
Deep ball down the left sideline, and it's going to be caught with the inbounds. Yes! It's not quite David Tyree, but that is pretty close.
He's like the Forrest Gump of quarterbacks. He just had this magical way of winning. I didn't even think he knew he was playing Tom Brady. I don't even think he knows he won. Hey, I got a trophy. What's this? I'll leave it in my house. Oh, I got another one.
When I think of best Giants coach, I think of Bill Parcells.
If you put coaches on there, then you're going to put Parcells. You could make an issue of Coughlin, but he got fired, and they had a lot of bad seasons.
Parcells was a great coach, but I also remember him as a Dolphin. I remember him as a Cowboy. I remember him as a Patriot. I mean,
some of these guys got to get their head out of their ass around here.
Wherever he went, he made that team better.
I think Parcells gets romanticized a little bit more because of where the Giants came from before he was there. It was bad.
Parcells inherited quarterback problems. He inherited bad drafting.
He turned it around relatively quickly. Maybe it's personality. Maybe Parcells was just a better salesman.
Parcells had that Lombardi. He's like, winning isn't everything. It's the only damn thing.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did it.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford. Gifford's a no-brainer. You want to put Strahan? You want to do that?
I think Giants fans might take exception to Strahan being there, especially ahead of a Frank Gifford.
Strahan might have the single-season sack record and a smile more vibrant than Times Square, but Gifford wasn't just a pretty face. He was the franchise's defining voice.
As Frank Gifford, halfback, I spent 12 wonderful years with the New York Giants, many of those years winding up in championship games. Now, as Frank Gifford, sportscaster, I play an entirely different position.
I think he created that aura of what a Giant should be.
You name it, and Gifford can do it.
He made All-Pro at 3 different positions, which is unheard of.
Now, Gifford shows why he became the all-time Giant ground gainer. Gifford's not through. He kicks that point, too.
His supporters rocked the vote, and Gifford carved himself the final spot.
The number 9 NFL Mount Rushmore, the Dolphins.
Clayton Duper. Bob Greasy's got to be on this list.
Brian Cox was out there.
Dante Culpepper.
Marino.
Mercury Morris.
Zonka.
Kick.
Jason Taylor.
Hernandez. Don Shula. Nick Bonaconte.
Zach Thomas. No.
The main thing I want on the Dolphins Mount Rushmore is the old school Dolphins logo.
Nobody represented the old school Dolphins dynasty better than one man, their coach, Don Shula.
obviously you have Shula, the greatest coach of all time in terms of number of wins. Nobody's won more.
Coach Shula becomes the all-time winningest coach, breaking the record of the immortal George Halas.
Was the winningest coach in NFL history.
Shula won 2 Super Bowls representing that old logo.
The old Dolphins logo, he's jumping through a ring of fire. That's serious.
Bob Shula? Nope, Dan Shula, Bob Shula. There are many Shulas. Shulas, Joe Jackson, there's too many Shulas. But then there's a Bob, Don, of course.
I think the biggest question with Larry Zonka, if we put him on the Dolphins Mount Rushmore, is do we go stash or no stash? I feel like we remember him with the full-blown Burt Reynolds porn stash.
This cannonball would run through defenses all the way to back-to-back Super Bowl wins.
Hitting right side, touchdown, Larry Zonka.
Larry Zonka was the heartbeat of a 1970s Dolphin dynasty.
Jason Taylor belongs on there because of how good-looking he is.
Jason Taylor. I mean, what did they do? What have the Dolphins done with Jason Taylor as a team? As great a player as he is, I would bet that some of those 70s Dolphins would have a big objection to this.
I think Jason Taylor is criminally underrated. We don't talk about him enough. He was one of the best athletes of his generation of football players. Because he was so good, it made a lot of bad Dolphins football watchable.
Let's go get it. Dolphins on 3.
Jason Taylor won Defensive Player of the Year in 2006, capping a decade of dominance after the Dolphins drafted him in '97.
Daniel Marino.
Let's get a drive going, man. Let's get a drive going and score some damn points.
Dan Marino, yeah, phenomenal quarterback. I mean, the greatest quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. Only played in one.
Good job, good job.
Dan Marino, probably the most talented passer in NFL history.
Those touchdown passes, 48.
He put up numbers that no one even thought were possible.
Most yards gained, 5,084. Most passes completed, 362.
Dan Marino has broken another record.
I like, Ryan Tannehill as a person, so Dan Marino is just, he's my Dolphin quarterback forever.
For a foursome, I think the Dolphins are properly ranked.
The horseshoe.
Colts, it's a good one because you've got Indianapolis and Baltimore.
What you have here is you have Peyton Manning and his receiver Marvin Harrison. Then you have Johnny Unitas and his receiver Raymond Berry.
I've decided to look up a close friend of mine, one who's kept me in the league for 16 years, Mr. Raymond Berry.
Ball. Unitas has the ball and he's looking for Berry. Unitas and Berry just have to be the top pass-catch combination in the league.
Berry? One of these things is not like the others. Put Edgerrin in there. We need Berry.
Don't even matter.
Oh, hey, is the edge on the Mount Rushmore of the Colts?
All day, 3-2.
First of all, I think we don't give enough credit to Raymond Berry.
Johnny Unitas and Raymond Berry revolutionized the passing game. Almost a half-century later, the same story played out again for the same franchise.
Fast forward 40, 50 years, and Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison do the exact same thing.
Again, Peyton Manning puts it where only Marvin Harrison can catch it, and only Marvin Harrison can make that catch and keep both feet in bounds.
What a hell of a catch by Marvin there. Drag that sucker.
The game changed after Johnny Unitas. The game changed after Peyton Manning.
Peyton's preparation with Marvin Harrison made them incredibly prolific.
Score! Woo! You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him.
Peyton Manning, who David Letterman just said changed the skyline of Indianapolis. They have buildings built, including the stadium they play in now, because Peyton Manning was the best player in the NFL for a decade.
There may be no face in NFL history more perfect for stone immortalization than Peyton Manning.
It's a very large forehead also. Just everything here is one perfect rectangle. I think that Euclid, the plane geometer, must have said, how can I make the perfect square rectangular face? Hello, Peyton Manning, downset hike.
They hold the NFL record for touchdowns for a QB wide receiver combination with 114.
You're looking at a living legend right now. You keep it. We'll split it.
Your Mount Rushmore made the top 10. Your Mount Rushmore's in the top 8. That's pretty good.
The number 7 NFL Mount Rushmore. The Oakland, LA, Vegas Raiders?
Howie Long, Marcus Allen, Ken Stabler, and the one and only Al Davis.
When you say Raiders, first person you think of is Al Davis.
Point of clarification, Davis is eligible because he was a coach as well as an owner.
He wore that silver and black almost better than the players did.
They were really an advertisement for the Raiders, and he really felt like when people saw him, they needed to see the colors. I think he was so far ahead of his time that he branded a team.
The Snake, Kenny Stabler. I'm gonna hear from all my buddies about this, but I have to say, I have to say the Snake.
A brilliant work of art by the master of his position. Yasha Heifetz never played a violin with more dexterity than Kenny Stabler is playing the Minnesota Viking defense.
Kenny Stabler calling plays. Red, wild turkey, wild turkey.
I get Kenny Stabler had sort of a style.
I can't believe this. Oh my God. Well, that's our boy. That's the leader of the team.
Rings matter in Mount Rushmore. Well, Stabler won 1 Super Bowl. Plunkett won 2 Super Bowls.
If the big game is a big part of getting your face on the big mountain, don't take Marcus Allen for granted.
This is a new Super Bowl record.
Howie Long. Don't you think? He kind of has that chiseled, because his bust in Canton looks pretty good.
Okay, that's a handsome man.
As good as Howie Long was, and he was part of that team that beat the Redskins, I think that there are a number of guys that could probably go ahead of him.
No Gene Upshaw, no Bolitnikoff.
You always got to vote for a guy named Fred. Remember Right Said Fred?
I'm too sexy for my shirt, too sexy for my shirt.
Are you kidding? Like, Fred Bolitnikoff's not on the list?
There's a lot of guys you could interchange in there.
The only one that's even debatable for me here is whether you include Madden, right? Madden was a monster.
Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. They said yes. Get your big butt out of here. He does.
In the end, the Raiders' ethos matters as much as the men who lived it.
And you tell them one thing. Just win. Just win.
The number 6 NFL Mount Rushmore. The Bears.
We have 3 players who define their position. Dick Butkus. That's just the name, right? Walter Payton. There's a reason the guy is the Man of the Year trophy is named after him. George Halas. Oh, just founded the charter franchise of the NFL.
Mike Singletary, head of the greatest defense of all time.
We're gonna be here all day, baby. I like this kind of party.
The whole reason we have an NFL at this moment is because of George Halas. This is a guy who founded the league.
Yep, Halas was at the meeting that created the NFL. Even more amazing, he was winning championships in his 5th decade as the Bears head coach.
14-10, the Chicago Bears hang out in front to beat the Giants for the NFL championship.
The ultimate definition of who Dick Butkus was. Talk to anybody who played against him, and they will tell you he was the greatest defensive player of all time.
His 9-year career stands apart as the single most sustained work of devastation ever committed on a football field by anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Roses are red and violets are blue. If you got any sense, you'll keep Butkus away from you.
Mike Singletary. The Samurai Mike.
I'm Samurai Mike. I stopped them cold.
Dude, Mike Singletary would kick my head off my neck.
He has the eyes of the dog from the Never-Ending Story. And this is very confusing if you are like on the other side, like, why is he looking at me like that horse is sinking in the quicksand? That's very scary. Have you seen the movie? Did I spoil this for you?
Walter Payton, in my opinion, is the greatest player of all time, so he's definitely going to be on there.
Sweetness. My dad took me to his memorial when he passed away. It was the only time I've ever seen my dad cry. It was ridiculous.
Walter Payton. Some players believe the highest honor an NFL player can win, the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, is named for him. Pretty much says it all.
No Ditka? Are you kidding me?
See that? That's your IQ, buddy. 0.
Gale Sayers doesn't make the mountain either. Not because we don't love the Kansas Comet. It's just there's no room even for an immortal. Only 4 spots on a Mount Rushmore.
I love the Bears Mount Rushmore. You have George Halas, who creates the franchise. You've got Dick Butkus of the 1960s. You've got Walter Payton of the 1970s and 80s. Then you've got Mike Singletary of the 80s and 90s. So your Mount Rushmore spans like 70 years of history. That's a cool Mount Rushmore.
The number 5 NFL Mount Rushmore, the Men of Steel.
They're 5th? It's just a joke.
This is an organization who has 6 championships.
Yin's gonna have to go downtown, have a good argument over who should be up on the Rushmore of Pittsburgh.
I am in full support of Chuck Noll being on this list.
I lived in his neighborhood, so it was interesting. I got to know him, and he was the nicest guy ever. He was very learned.
Emerson probably put it best when he said, your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying.
On science and on planets.
You have to remember football is kind of an interim between college and getting into your life's work.
Turns out Chuck Noll's life's work was winning Lombardi trophies.
I would say their best years are ahead of them.
Of course, you start with him, the first face on Mount Rushmore.
The next face carved onto the Steelers' Rushmore is Terry Bradshaw.
First of all, you're going to have to put Noll and Bradshaw on opposite ends of the mountain because they don't get along that great.
Bradshaw had a chilly reception in Pittsburgh early in his career.
I don't know if it's the hayseed reputation he had, sort of like the precursor to Brett Favre.
But like Brett Favre, he delivered in the clutch, twice winning MVP of the Super Bowl.
Here's Bradshaw. Glenn Swan is open. Got it. Steeler touchdown.
As well as league MVP.
I'll win the NFL MVP in 1978. That's how good 12 was.
Franco Harris, obviously, he had the immaculate reception.
Bradshaw running out of the pocket, looking for somebody to throw to, fires it downfield. And there's a collision. It's caught out of the air. The ball is pulled in by Franco Harris.
A lot of people thought that he was soft. Do you think he gives a rat's ass what you think of him with all of his rocks and his gold jacket?
Of course, Mean Joe Green right out the gate. I mean, you think of Pittsburgh, you think of Steel Curtain, what do you think of? You think of Mean Joe Green.
I think Joe Green was the greatest draft pick ever in Steeler franchise history.
Joe Green broke through to nail Staubach and caused the fumble.
Joe Green gave the Steelers all they could have asked for. He gave his opponents a little extra.
That's Mean Joe Green, baby. No one's gonna say nothing.
World champ, number 1!
How about they move up 6 spots to +1? Isn't that a math thing where you go over?
What dynasty is the greatest in pro football history? It's the Steelers.
I mean, Damashek's not going to like it, but the Steelers players don't measure up.
The number 4 NFL Mount Rushmore, New England Patriots.
It's Rob Gronkowski.
I'm activated. I'm
John Hanna, one of the greatest guards that ever played the game. Tom Brady.
Best ever.
Bill Belichick.
Way to compete. Way to compete.
This list is so wrong. This list is so wrong.
Hold on. I have early Alzheimer's. I can't think this fast. Who did John Hanna?
John Hanna's a great addition. I mean, people just forget about him.
John Hanna? I mean, I know he was good and everything. That was back when they wore those silly uniforms, right?
I mean, they kind of sucked for a while before 2000.
You know what it is? The Patriots don't really have a lot of history.
New England sucked back in the days.
I'd even put Teddy Bruschi ahead of John Hanna.
John Hanna, color me uninspired.
You have to have John Hanna in there because there has to be some acknowledgement that the Patriots existed before Bill Belichick arrived in 2000, and John Hanna, one of the best guards of all time, Hall of Famer.
Gronk smash.
You cannot stop him. Double covered. Doesn't matter.
Gronk looks like a Mount Rushmore. A mountain.
He does seem like a stone figure, right?
One of those every once in a generation tight ends.
Gronk could be the greatest tight end of all time.
That was unbelievable. How the did you catch that?
Gronk is the greatest tight end of all time.
A linebacker on a 6'6" tight end. We'll take it.
He's only got 2 rings. This is the kind of language you use when you're talking about Patriots.
I don't even know how I did that.
I know Bill Belichick has to be on it. I get it.
Belichick's got the on to Cincinnati look on his face on the Mount Rushmore. Bill Belichick is arguably the greatest coach of all time.
I think Belichick is a phenomenal coach. I think maybe 1 or 2 Super Bowls are legit.
Congratulations on getting to the playoffs. We know the feeling of what it's like to have a decent year.
Make fun of Bill Belichick's stoicism all you want. You know what makes him smile? The 5 Lombardis he's won with Tom Brady.
Way to go, man. Way to go. That's tremendous. Great job. What a win.
Great job.
It took every second.
You're damn right.
Way to go.
Oh, the chin. It's the chin of Thomas Brady because he has a little tiny dimply. Have you seen the dimply?
That dimple really shows when Brady is hoisting trophies.
5 titles to his name. No fear. Cut it loose.
Play action fake Brady. Fires. Touchdown.
Tom Brady now owns every significant Super Bowl passing record.
Throws it for Amendola. Touchdown, Patriots! The greatest quarterback in Super Bowl and NFL annals. I don't know about that. Ever. I love that ever.
Patriots being number 4 on this list? Come on, numbers don't lie. Spouses and accountants do.
I think the Patriots' Mount Rushmore has to be higher.
It has to be number 1.
You know, the Patriots would not be high on my list for Mount Rushmore because I feel like they're more of an Eiffel Tower. It's just kind of Belichick, Brady. Gronk at the base.
The number 3 NFL Mount Rushmore, America's team.
Staubach, Smith, Landry, and Aikman. Those are 4 names where A, you only need to say the last name, and you know exactly what we're talking about, and B, no
Because Tom Landry was there for 29 years. He helped build the Cowboys into America's team.
America's team.
Cowboy coach Tom Landry getting a ride off on the shoulders of his team. The Dallas Cowboys are the champions of the National Football League.
You can't put a coach in because you could have an argument of like, who was the better coach?
I think if you had Jimmy Johnson on the Cowboys Mount Rushmore.
How about them Cowboys?
I think it would have been really hard for the sculptor to get his hair just right.
Staubach, very good. Talk about a guy that could play in different eras. He would thrive in 21st century pro football, wouldn't he, Roger Staubach?
Roger, he's going long. Down the near sideline for Drew Pearson. Pearson makes the catch at the 5. Touchdown! Would you believe it? Staubach hit Pearson on a 50-yard touchdown.
Roger served his country, fought for our freedom. He's better than you and everyone.
I would argue that Troy Aikman is the greatest quarterback of his generation. That includes Montana, that includes Steve Young, that includes Boomer Esiason and Dan Marino and all those stat hogs.
Cowboys are back on top of the mountain now. Troy Aikman's the MVP.
Aikman balled in the biggest of games. Aikman was an awesome quarterback and deserves to be on Mount Rushmore.
At the very least, you've got to put Mr. Cowboy on the Mount Rushmore of the Dallas Cowboys.
No way Bob Lilly shouldn't be on there. Longtime Cowboy fans will tell you, other than Staubach, they've never had a greater player than Bob Lilly.
I don't see four other Cowboys that could be ahead of him. He's the all-time leading rusher.
Handoff, Smith, 35, 40-yard line. That should do it. Move over, Sweetness. Make a place for Emmett.
There's only one NFL rushing champion, and there's only one Emmitt Smith.
As someone who grew up in Dallas, I don't have a problem with these four names. Michael Irvin might.
A lot of people will tell you he was the heart and soul on that team.
Oh, what a catch. Oh, man. What'd I do? Make plays.
Nothing but make plays, baby.
So number 2, NFL Mount Rushmore.
I think you're representing the 3 championship kind of windows / eras. Don Hudson was absolutely dominant for his era.
Don's blazing speed made him hard to cover. This time, watch him take a long throw from Herbert, good for 6 points.
Lombardi and Starr, who obviously won multiple championships, dominated in an era.
The Green Bay Packers have won the championship.
Can't be mad with that. They named the Super Bowl trophy after a guy. You got to get him on your Mount Rushmore.
I think Starr doesn't get enough credit for being the player that he was. I mean, his record in championship games, his statistics in championship games, his quarterback efficiency in big games. I mean, he's really the definition of the bigger the game, the better he played.
And then you look at Favre, and he completely revitalized the franchise.
The Vince Lombardi Trophy is coming home where it started.
And Favre's play pretty much saved the franchise. There's just so many iconic people in Packers history.
Look at the name of the stadium. It's Lambeau Field. Where's Curly Lambeau? I mean, Curly Lambeau should be on the Mount Rushmore.
Well, he helped found the team and coach him for a long time.
There's just not room for everybody. They could have 3 or 4 Mount Rushmores in Green Bay.
Ray Nitschke, Paul Hornung, Willie Davis, Forrest Gregg, Herb Adderley are in the discussion, but the real argument starts with which modern QB should make it.
So Aaron Rodgers did not make this list.
That is correct.
Can you believe it? Unbelievable. Believe it.
Aaron Rodgers is arguably the most gifted quarterback of all time. Athleticism, quick release, accuracy, seamless arm strength, multi-platform throws.
And that ball had to be perfect, and it was.
Well, I feel like you picking whoever you want to go to. I kind of am.
And for him not to make the best Packers list is insulting. This is just people trying to show off their knowledge of the game. I'm sure Don Hudson was a wonderful guy and a wonderful player. Look, I've seen Antonio Brown and Terrell Owens and Jerry Rice.
He's going to be gone. I don't think they can catch him.
Is Don Hudson doing the same stuff as those guys? I don't know.
I gotta be completely honest. Who the hell is Hudson?
Don Hudson was incredible, but Aaron Rodgers dates celebrities and supermodels.
When you don't include Aaron Rodgers on the Mount Rushmore, I think that's going to look bad in a few years because he's going to go down as probably the greatest player that franchise has ever had.
The Green Bay Packers have earned their 4th Super Bowl championship.
I have a bit of a conundrum at quarterback.
Why? I love them both for different reasons.
And I will say Favre because, sorry, I'm going back. I'm going to say Rodgers. I'm going to say Rodgers just because of what Brett Favre did towards the end of his career to me.
And it's intercepted inside the 35-yard line of Green Bay.
So many interceptions.
I love to intercept things all the time, like my ex-girlfriend's mail.
People look and say Brett has broken so many NFL records.
Look, he drills the middle. He's got Jennings. Touchdown! A monumental milestone in a legendary career.
To this point, he's still done more than Aaron Rodgers has done, even if Aaron might be the better quarterback in time.
And now, the number 1 NFL Mount Rushmore, the 49ers.
What team would have the greatest Mount Rushmore? I mean, you said the 49ers.
Bill Walsh, Joe Montana, Ronnie Lott, Jerry Rice.
The 49ers, you might need 2 Mount Rushmores for them. They have so many iconic guys.
Mr. D. I'm putting Mr. D up there.
You need 4 Mount Rushmores for the 49ers because you got to get Steve Young on there.
Young is in trouble, and he got away somehow. Gets away again to the 35, cuts back at the 30. He dives, touchdown 49ers.
Steve Young better be on that list.
No judgment, but.
Can we put Steve Young on the side, like pointing at him? Like Steve Young presents the 49ers Mount Rushmore.
Bill Walsh might be the greatest coach of all time. You look at how he changed the game, the West Coast offense.
I mean, think about it. The West Coast offense, that's Bill Walsh. And if you look at his tree, it's pretty crazy to see all the head coaches that came out of that.
He was so far ahead strategically.
So you're here, 5-step drop.
In those early years, guys were open by 5 yards and nobody knew how.
No one was within 10 yards of him.
Before Belichick, Bill Walsh was the genius. Snappy dresser, too.
Bill Walsh confounded pro football observers throughout the year. 3 Super Bowl victories.
Joe Montana, who, 3rd-round draft pick, skinny little dude from Notre Dame, ballerina legs.
Last time I saw legs like that, they were hanging out of a nest.
But what made him great was this system that Walsh created, and then Montana's ability to execute perfection in that system.
When you throw it right, you got it. You don't get what you want. You'll just simply throw the ball away. If not there, away it goes.
Montana rolling out the right, looking toward the end zone, throwing under pressure, throws his pass, caught by Clark. Clark got a touchdown.
You have Joe Montana, who until Tom Brady came around, most considered the greatest quarterback of all time.
Joe never lost a Super Bowl, so maybe some still view Joe over Brady.
If you look at Joe Montana's 4 Super Bowls, name the interception that bothered you the most. You can't. There wasn't one.
Joe Montana, his 3rd Super Bowl MVP award.
It's just unsurpassed. Magical moments, a game that shouldn't be won, somehow won.
39 seconds remaining. Back to throw Montana. Steps up, throws. The 49ers have scored.
That's Joe Montana by a mile.
It's almost literally impossible to write the 49ers history without Ronnie Lott.
The only NFL safety to end his career with fewer fingers than he started with. There's nothing else to discuss.
Ronnie Lott, which is pretty much the definition of hit stick. I think Madden should call hit stick the Ronnie Lott stick.
He was what to the defense what Joe Montana was to the offense.
Everybody sold out this week. Everybody. Damn, it's great, isn't it? You gotta love it.
Well, they have the greatest receiver of all time in their group.
He wants the end zone. Rice has got it. Touchdown 49ers.
Jerry Rice, probably the greatest football player of all time. I mean, not just receiver, greatest player.
Oh my! A one-handed catch down the sideline. One of his greatest catches.
Jerry Rice worked harder than anyone I've ever seen, had more competitive drive than anyone I've ever seen, was maniacal.
Pretty amazing in witnessing his work ethic. I think the thing that really kind of, propels Rice to that level of a conversation is just dominance over so many years.
Jerry Rice! Oh, what a catch by Rice! And the celebrating begins.
You're not going to beat the 49ers Mount Rushmore. You're just not.
They are the Mount Rushmore of Mount Rushmore.
So what the 49ers trot out, they don't take a backseat to anybody. They've got the coach, they've got the quarterback, they've got the game-changing wide receiver, and they've got the most ferocious hitter on the 3rd level of the secondary in Ronnie Lott. 49ers, pure platinum.
We're the